A storm roared across the Montana Valley like a wounded beast, hurling sheets of icy rain against the dark silhouette of the Blackridge ranch house, its wooden walls groaning under the fury of the night. And inside, a lone lantern glowed in the window where Luke Blackridge, silent, solitary, and feared for both his strength and silence, sat sharpening the same hunting knife he had cleaned 1,000 times before, trying to distract himself from the memories he never spoke of. But just as the wind howled hard enough to rattle the floorboards, a knock, soft, desperate trembling broke through the roar, and Luke froze, the knife stopping mid-stroke, his hardened eyes lifting as if the world itself had paused. No one knocked on his door. No one came out this far. No one dared. He stood up slowly, every step heavy with suspicion, until he pulled open the door and saw her thin, soaked to the bone, shivering so violently her teeth clattered, her hair plastered to her face, her shoes torn and in her arms, wrapped in a blanket far too thin for the cold. A tiny baby crying weakly against her chest. "Please," she whispered, her voice cracking like fragile glass. "Please, we just need somewhere warm." Rain washed over them both as Luke stared, his expression unreadable, his jaw tight, his breath slow. He never took strangers in, not after what happened to his family, not after the betrayal that cost him everything, not after the months of silence he'd forced onto his heart like armor. But something in the woman's eyes, fear mixed with fierce determination to protect the small life clinging to her, pierced through the walls he thought were unbreakable. For a moment no one moved, and the thunder rolled like judgment across the sky. Then in a voice so low she almost didn't hear it, he stepped back, opened the door wider, and said the first words he had spoken aloud in days. "Get in." She stumbled past him, clutching her baby, barely able to stand from the cold, and nearly collapsed on the wooden floor before Luke caught her, his strong arms steady, warm, unshakable. He set the baby close to the fire, adding wood until the flames blazed, then wrapped them both in a thick wool blanket while she looked at him, with a mix of gratitude and disbelief, because the rumors about Luke Blackridge painted him as a man without mercy, a man carved from stone, a man who didn't speak, didn't smile, didn't help. But here he was, kneeling beside a stranger and her child, his broad shoulders tense, his gaze sharp and assessing. "What happened?" he finally asked, the question gruff but not unkind. She swallowed hard, tears mingling with the rain on her cheeks, and whispered her name Mara and explained how she had run through the storm because her ex had found where she was hiding, how she had grabbed her baby and fled into the night with nowhere else to go, how she had prayed for a miracle and followed the faint light of his cabin because it was the only one for miles. She didn't tell everything, not yet, but Luke could read people like the land. He saw truth in her eyes, saw fear in every breath, saw exhaustion weighing on her like a mountain. The baby whimpered again, and Mara broke into tears, clutching her child as though the world was trying to tear him away. Luke felt something shift inside him, something he hadn't felt in years, an urge to protect, an instinct older than pain, older than silence. He stood, walked to the door, and with a deep, final certainty, locked it, sliding the heavy iron bolt into place. Mara flinched at the sound locks had never meant safety for her, but Luke turned to her slowly, his voice low, steady, unyielding. "Nobody's getting through that door." The way he said it made her whole body sag in relief, tears spilling freely at last. Luke grabbed another blanket, gently placed it over her shoulders, and sat across from her, watching over her and the baby like a silent guardian as the storm raged outside, unaware that this night, this knock, this baby, this shivering stranger, was about to change the life of the man who thought nothing could ever thaw him again. And as Mara drifted into an exhausted sleep, Luke kept watch, muscles tense, eyes sharp, knowing deep inside that whoever she was running from, they would come. And when they did, he already knew one thing with absolute certainty: they would have to go through him first. And nobody ever had.